My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, but also getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. You can find the link to our playlist in the show notes. Welcome to episode 25. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Hannah Joy, frontwoman of one of Australia's greatest new bands, Middle Kids. The band are releasing their second studio record tomorrow, entitled Today We're the Greatest. In today's episode, Hannah and I talk about the making of the new record, how the band challenges their listeners, and her obsession with Bloc Party. Here we go. Our guest today is the frontwoman of one of Australia's greatest new bands. They won the Triple J Australian Album of the Year award in 2018, and they're now following it up with their second record, entitled Today We're the Greatest. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours from Middle Kids, Hannah Joy. Hey, Hannah.
Hey.
How are you going today, Hannah?
Doing well. Just juggling mum life and music life. It's good stuff.
It's I imagine both of those keeping you very busy at the moment.
Yeah. Yes.
Congratulations on the second album, which is out tomorrow. Today We're the Greatest. It's a gorgeous record. Still very much a Middle Kids record, but even from the first track, Bad Neighbours, you could hear little, intricacies or little bits and pieces that were slightly different, or I think some vocal tricks of like falsetto and more vibrato. From the beginning of this record, were you guys trying to push the sound or push what you'd previously done before and expand that?
Yeah, I think there was we were quite intentional about making this record and wanting to kind of broaden some of our influences and our sound. And I think it's mainly because, all three of us have actually come from quite a diverse musical background and have enjoyed and played a lot of different kind of music. And I think, we've been loving kind of being in this indie rock pop world, and we still are, but I think that it just made sense for us to kind of like dig a little deeper and to kind of open up a bit more to where we've come from. And I think even as you say, like with my voice, like I really felt like I wanted to kind of whip it around a little bit more and kind of push it to kind of see what I got there, and it was like really cool. Like, one of those songs, Cellophane particularly, I remember like the chorus, I'm like kind of like going all over the place. And I remember when I was writing a song, I was like, I'm just going to like just try and hit random notes and see what I can do kind of thing and see if it like will sound any good. And it was kind of cool. Like, I think, I'm really like enjoying like singing them. And I feel like, yeah, it's been a really cool development for us in that way.
Yeah, of course. I think last time, please correct me if I'm wrong, the first record was recorded by yourselves, whereas this one was recorded in LA with, Lars
Stafford. Yeah.
Who's worked with acts like St. Vincent and Purity Ring. So like similar kind of indie, but also a few different sounds as well. What was that whole kind of experience like?
It was friggin' awesome, which like it felt like very scary for us because, as you say, like everything we've done is ourselves and recorded in very kind of like, homely environments. And we tried once to do the studio thing before, and we just like wasn't a vibe for us. It was us probably more than anything, but I think we really wanted to find someone that could, have a cool partnership with Tim because he's produced everything. And we went on tour with Cold War Kids right at the beginning when we were touring America, and they've made a few records with Lars as well. And we've stayed in touch with them, and they just recommended him to us, from them knowing Tim quite well and knowing Lars. And it was just really awesome because I think they're like best friends now. It's so cute. All they do is like talk about compressors and microphones. But I think he was just like essentially like a fourth member in the room with us. And he was just like, steering the ship. And then even a big part of it, like Tim and I often, because we're married and like, when I'm recording vocals and Tim is engineering, like it can get angsty because like I'm insecure and he's like, do that better. And I'm like, I'm so bad, it's like, and so Lars like figured that out pretty quickly. And so every time that we had to record vocals, Lars would always like send Tim out on a very important job to like do somewhere else. So anyways, he like really just knew how to work with us. And like we did it in 14 days because we were under really like tight time pressure with touring and the baby and stuff. And like we never saw daylight during that time because we just go in and leave at night. But it was such a wild experience, but so thankful for Lars. Like he's such a legend.
I know that with this album you kind of dropped some of the barriers down when it came to your lyrical content in the songs. And as you said that he kind of got used to the marriage dynamic of yourself and Tim. How important do you think it is to have trust in a producer when you're making an album like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think hugely, because I think mainly you want to trust that their vision is in alignment with yours, because every moment you spend, you're trying to serve the song, and you need to make sure that, for us, we just like that we could trust that Lars's vision for these songs was in alignment with ours was like so huge, because then it meant like the calls he would make, we were trusting that it was coming out of a place of like, we're all trying to get to this point with these songs. It's not about us, it's not about you, it's about the song and how to get there. And I think once we were able to establish that in terms of like, you can kind of start even like seeing that pretty quickly, whether they are, resonating with each other. There's such a great flow then, because then, ideas are just moving and bouncing off each other. And because and even though you have different ideas of how to get to this place, it means you can kind of all go on that journey together. And yeah, it was like a really like free, fun place to like throw things at these songs to see kind of what stuck. And yeah, it was really cool.
Nice. As I just mentioned, you did like a lot of the songs have a lot more, I guess, honest and open approach this time around. What was it that changed with yourself, or I guess what was the reason behind opening up more lyrically?
Well, I think, a big part of it is I think like I'm striving to live more openly generally. And I think that, the more you live, the more you realize that how you live totally informs your art and what you create. There's like such, which is cool, because it means like you feel like even if you spend 2 weeks and you don't touch a piano, like in some ways you are writing a song, because the way that you're living is totally then influencing when I do sit down at the piano, what is going to come out, because it's this big dynamic thing inside me. So I feel like, I just believe more and more as like, it's a good way to live honestly and boldly, and sharing yourself and also living out of your heart. I think I can often live out of my head, and, I think I'm trying to, have them more as a team. But I also think too, like for the music that's really influenced me, it's when, not exclusively, but a lot of artists that really like share their story through song, I feel has been like very impactful on me. And I think that is a very cool way to share story. And I think, you know, the power of story in itself is, you know, pretty wonderful way to like, you know, learn and build empathy. And I just think that I've just been wanting to do that more and more with music.
Yeah, there's a quote from yourself that I'm going to read off my notes on it because I don't want to get it wrong, and I really do like the quote. I want people to hear our music and feel a sense of love, and when I say love, it can be challenging, intense, and tough, but it's in the guts. Just a second ago, when you were talking about like being honest and creating, do you think it's important that sometimes, I guess, for an artist, for yourself, sometimes you want the music to be slightly challenging to the listeners for almost like there's almost a greater payoff if there's a little bit more work involved in it?
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, because I do feel like there is a very delicate balance. And so I guess it depends on how much you want to lean one way or the other. Whether like, because I think there's something so wonderful and, you know, helpful even about just like a song being a warm blanket that, you know, that just holds you and you feel good, and like a lot of pop music. And then, you know, there's music that's extremely challenging to listen to, even like, you know, modern 20th century classical music or whatever, when you're like, oh my gosh, like, and, you know, I think some of that music I'm like, I can't get it. I can't get into it. And so, but then there has been music where like initially I couldn't get into it, but then as I kind of like sat with it more, I could. And to me, that's like a cool sweet spot to be in, where it's like, if you're, are you talking like musically as well? Like challenging to listen to?
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of, not necessarily challenging in terms of, it's difficult to listen to, but in terms of that you want it to almost like subvert the listener's expectations, or kind of like not have them just know that it's like verse, chorus, like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, that's it. Like of like, not doing the ABA, BBA thing or whatever. It's like, which we do actually all the time, and I like it. But I think definitely on this record there was more thought into like kind of finding a C or a D, and even in different sounds or whatever. And I think that I actually think that's brought more life into the music, which has been really cool. Because sometimes if you go too far, it can like take you out of it. Or the listeners like can be like, But I think that was like a balance we were trying to achieve for this record of like, you know, and it's like still pretty down the line, you know, indie pop rock. But I just think there's more, I don't know, like breadth and depth of, you know, influences and textures on there for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, no, it is. Even throughout most of this record for you guys, there's lots of little flourishes or touches that maybe weren't on the first one, but really do add to the sound of Middle Kids.
Yeah, totally. And it's cool how much of a space you can create with that, like and even like emotion, like still like music is just so mysterious to me in this way that like you can just like communicate so much with sound, and it really speaks to you. Like it sounds so lame, but you know, beyond words, and like, but it is true. Like it's still such a great mystery.
It's 100% true. The fact that you can kind of pull something out of your brain and will it into existence, and then it connects with more than one, like a range of different people. It's an incredible thing.
Mm.
One of the tracks I wanted to talk about, Lost in Los Angeles, it has a almost like a very like, it's almost like a distant cousin of like a Sufjan Stevens kind of track with the banjo and the guitar.
Maybe even just distant cousin, you know, maybe not three distance, just one distance.
I didn't want to imply anything that maybe it was like a when you guys are recording and writing new music, how much of your own record collection or music that you listen to do you take in or let influence, or do you kind of, when you're writing and recording, is it kind of like, no, just our music, nothing else?
I mean, it's interesting. Tim and I were just talking about this before, because I think like, yeah, we're not consciously either like, let's go for this. Like we never go, let's go for this kind of sound. But also it's very clear that there are particular artists that have influenced even different songs. Like I couldn't even necessarily say for the whole record, but Sufjan for sure is an influence on Los Angeles. I don't know if it's just because there's a banjo on it, but probably not. Like I've loved Sufjan Stevens for years, and I've been thinking Golden Star too. Like I connect those as well with Sufjan. You know, that layering of vocals, and he'll often layer lots of guitars, which is the same in Los Angeles. But yeah, and I think like, yeah, I don't also just go, I'm just going to do my thing because I know my thing doesn't exist without all the other things. So I think like he's a big one. I think I was listening to a lot of the 1975 as well, which you can't even really hear that much, but I know that it's in there somewhere. Or like Some People Stay in Our House Forever sounds like to me like the Cocteau Twins, who I really, really love. And actually there's like a strong influence probably of The National in there as well, maybe more of these kind of like lyric-y blah blahs that he does. But yeah, like I don't know, it's something almost I look back, or as a band we look back, and after the fact we see, oh, we can see this artist popping up here, this artist popping up here. You know, but we never really think about that going into it, which is, I think I like doing it that way because I like having the big wide open space to be myself and for us to be ourselves. And then and trusting that you just take in with you all that you've heard, because there's no way around that. And that.
This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back-to-school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back-to-school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee with your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 an order. Additional terms apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Then you can kind of like look at it and be like, oh, wow, look at this, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's I'm curious in terms of when you go in to writing the song, maybe lyrically, do you usually have an idea of like, oh, this is going to be a song about like us, or this is going to be a song about regret, or is it kind of that you just, again, open palette and it kind of reveals itself as you're midway through?
I think it's particularly the lyrical content. Well, the theme anyway is like a revelation, and then like, and usually it'll come out in like a chorus idea or a verse, and then I'll build upon that and write around it. But the heart of the song definitely like is found, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, like that would be cool to write something like this, you know, whatever it is. So yeah, it's like this kind of like a mixture of kind of like just seeing what comes out, and then kind of being intentionally picking up on a lyric or a picture, and then going, okay, we're going down that way.
I know for this record as well, there was maybe not apprehension, but I think that in terms of love songs, you had previously written like a lot of love songs, and this record featured Stacked Chairs and Run With You. For yourself, I guess, firstly, did you find it difficult to kind of come up with a love song that wasn't, because I feel like it's very easy to fall into traps or cliches when it does come to love songs, and I think, just as a side note, you've done that very well with this record. But yeah, for yourself, did you find it difficult in not kind of, falling into those traps?
Well, I think if anything, I've come from a place of being quite guarded and not wanting to be like tinny and shiny, that I think that I've had to actually allow myself to go there more. And I think Stuck in Chairs is a cool one because I started off that song just kind of like with imagery from like Tim's life. Well, I don't know, because he grew up in Papua New Guinea in the jungle for the first 10 years of his life. And I kind of like had these little like he would tell me stories or whatever about what that was for him. And so I had these like snapshots of him as a kid in that place. And then it kind of rolled out from there, which is cool because it didn't start off being like, I'm going to sing about Tim and how much I love him. It was like I was seeing him in this way. And then I feel like the song kind of grew out of that place, and then the love came from that, which was like cool. So I think that like I'm probably so far on the other side of being like, afraid to be nice that it's like it's good for me to like be sweeter.
I feel like it's a very kind of cool way to do it, because it like love songs can get, I need to find a better word for it, but they can get kind of like caught in a trap, and it's nice to have, you can kind of pick up on the tones of warmth and affection without it being like, I love you, Tim, and then that repeated for 3.5 minutes. So it's very well done.
That's a kind of a cool concept album. Just, anyways, nothing bad that.
For the band, you guys have done very well in the last, I'm going to say 4 years. I think it was the EP only came out in 2017, last month. Mm-hmm. And it's been quite a decent ride for yourselves, having, taken out Album of the Year with Triple J, toured the States and performed on Late Night. And Elton John is a fan for you guys. Has that kind of been has it been a shock that you've done so well in such a short amount of time?
I mean, I think so. I think probably being a little further in now, it's been cool to even like look back on it, because in the moment, it's just like it was just insane in terms of like, we released our first song, and then essentially like a couple months later, we're like on the road nonstop for 3 years, I guess. And it's almost in such a way that like I didn't even really have the space to reflect or even be like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, I definitely did feel it was amazing, but I was just like, oh my gosh. And just like we were playing shows like all the time, and it was amazing. But I think looking back on it now, I'm like, we've just been really like so thankful and just like stoked with kind of the journey. And I think even in light of, not being able to tour for a year and having this kind of part of our lives not under threat, but like hard to know how to live into that. It's just brought on a whole new kind of level of, I would say, like, really like drive and feeling like, man, even though it feels like I don't even know how to be an artist, more than ever, I feel like I want that. And I feel so thankful that I've had the opportunity to do that in such a profound way. Because all of us were like, we had no idea really what we were doing. And so, it's been like a really cool thing. And I think even this record is cool coming off the back of a really intense first few years, because I think everything we've made basically up until this record has been like, like, oh, like we're touring, we've got a day off, let's like make something here. And it's like been these patchwork quilts we've like, put together in these like spare moments. But I think for this record, we were like we really took a beat and we're like, we're going to sit with these songs, we're going to make something. And I think that was cool being, you know, a few more years in where we felt confident enough, because, you know, you have to say no to touring. You have to be like, which when you're a young band, you just feel like, no, you got to be out there, you know. So it's cool to have this record now, because I really hear that the time that we've given it to get to know the songs and to really, you know, invest in these songs, like the payoff has been amazing. Like we feel so proud of this record. I mean, we love all the music we've made, but this one feels like such a wonderful, you know, next step for us. And just like, the cool next installment, I guess, of our journey. And who knows, like, where the heck we're going or anything like this, but just we feel so thankful for it.
Yeah, no, of course. The first record I feel was very, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was influenced by being on the road. It was quite like the energy in that record was quite like a live band and feeding off the audience. And it reflected that, and there does seem to be a few quieter and slower moments in this record, which seem like it is you guys taking a breath. With being such a well-known live band in Australia, have you guys kind of missed that element of, obviously I know that there's the little one, so there would have been a break of the road anyway, but have you missed that element of going out and playing shows?
So much. It's so crazy. Like, it's like going into that world of like being a touring band is like so different to normal life. Then going back to normal life, you're like, oh my gosh. But more importantly, like, we just love playing, like, and that's kind of why we do it, because the playing music with people is just like the best thing in the world for us. And so it's been sad that we can't do that. And also sharing that with audiences is just like got to be one of the best things. So it has been definitely hard. And I think it'll be interesting too, because as you say, like, this record being, you know, having more softer tracks, like we feel like a little nervous but excited, because so much of our music beforehand is like very, rocky, loud. And when you're performing, well, for me, it's like an easier place for me to perform out of, with a lot of energy, a lot of noise. You know, I can almost like hide behind just like the love of it all. And, you know, there are a lot of tracks where I just have to like be quite still and raw. And I've never like really done that. And so I think, you know, which I think is good, and it's really important as an artist to like keep stretching yourself. But so I feel really excited to play these songs, but also like I'm a little bit scared, because I know that it's going to be a stretch for me to not just get up there and like high kick around the stage and sing my lungs out, but to actually just like sit in some of the music and be like, here is my story, you know. But I really would like to start playing a lot more music when we can.
That's very fair. Well, I know that there are some shows in May for the album launch. It'll be very exciting, and I know that a lot of people are quite excited to see you guys back on the road, which will be good. Hannah, would you be happy to talk about your playlist or a few tracks from the playlist?
Yeah. Well, one song I was just thinking about from some of the things we were just talking about is there's Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. I am obsessed with, I've been obsessed with this song since I was a little girl. And I think like one of the things is that it's just like so over the top. And like, you know, it's just like they've got like big strings and a big grand piano, and it's just so emotive. But it's so unashamed in that. And the end result is just like pure emotional euphoria as a listener for me anyway. And I remember I used to be in the school choir, and we performed this song. And this performance, I was like crying.
It's a staple for the choirs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like, it was kind of embarrassing, but the music was just like so intense and wonderful. But I mean, I would make a whole playlist of Simon and Garfunkel if I could, but it was just one of those songs that I thought of. What else did I put on there? There's also Banquet by Bloc Party. we actually went on tour with Bloc Party 2 years ago around Europe, and it was like the best time of my life because I used to be obsessed with Bloc Party. I mean, I still am. But I think that album was like a very informative album for me because Kelly, like he's very, it's like a very physical album. Like I think, especially as a woman, like for me, it really helped me like express anger through music, and which is cool because a lot it's easy to kind of be like happy and sad or whatever, but to feel quite physical and angry in a kind of felt like a healthy release way was really cool. And like Banquet particularly has got these like wild drums that just kind of like drive all the way through. And the tour they did when we played with them, they played Silent Alarm, that album, just in its entirety, which is like, it was insane. Yeah. It was actually great. So that was like cool.
When they say, I feel like there's like an age-old saying of like you don't meet your heroes. Was it the opposite of that? Was it a good experience touring with Kelly?
Yep, it was amazing. Yep. They were like, and there's only two. Is Kelly and Russell. Like the other two are like new members and they're legends. But I got to have lunch with Kelly and he was an angel. Like totally, he was awesome. Yeah, it's so cool.
That's awesome.
The other song for another reason on there is Phoenix, also one of my favorite bands from like some of those bands are like, they were like my favorite bands when I was like 14 and they're still my favorite band now as a grown person.
I think the music holds up, but sorry, I'll let you continue.
No, but it's true. Those ones that like really get you, never let go. But their song, If I Ever Feel Better, because that song to me was like really exciting in terms of how he used words, and which is cool too because they're like French and so English is their second language, but the way that he used words in that song, like so many different little rhymes, and like I think that was like very exciting, but within like indie music, I don't know, it was just like really cool to me and exciting to use like meter and poetry in a way that kind of was like more exciting than just like singing a little tune. It felt like quite, I don't know, almost kind of like a slam poet or something like that. I don't know, but that's always been like a cool song that has been like, I think like helped me see what you can do with words. But yeah.
I feel like Phoenix have always had their own little way of, almost like a signature like way of phrasing or placing melodies that are just slightly off kilter but still somehow work.
It's so true.
That makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And then maybe the last one I'll talk about, which is a band that's a new band, not like, an age-old band, is the 1975. And that song, Love It If We Made It, off A Brief Inquiry into Online Relations or whatever it's called. That song really like struck me big time. Like as an adult to get like fully struck like you were when you were like a kid, like that was one of those songs for me. And I think it's just like Maddie Healy just putting it all out there. I think like, I mean, if I could find a thread between like all the music that I love, I think it's just like artists that's just like put it all out there in like it's in all its mess and beauty and power. And I just feel like, yeah, that song is very cool.
I feel like that song and that whole record are quite something weirdly nostalgic but still modern and current about actually most of the 1975. So
I know. He does it. He just does it.
He does a good job. Hannah, thank you so much for your time today. I do very much appreciate it. And thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Hannah Joy and Middle Kids. Their second record, Today We're the Greatest, is out tomorrow. We've left links in the show notes if you'd like to purchase the record or buy a ticket to their tour in May. We also want to give a huge shout out to Ella at Positive Feedback for helping out with today's interview. You can find a link to our Spotify playlist in the show notes, where you'll be able to listen to all of Hannah's picks. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Thursday morning with guest playlists streaming on Spotify at the same time. You can follow the playlist profile on Spotify. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Until next week, cheers.